Tonight is debate night, as we have been discussing, highly anticipated, and Kamala was providing a little preview of tonight's debate night. She actually was talking to somebody from, technically from the press corps. That's an unusual occurrence these days.
Yeah, it was a friendly environment, just talking about what she's going to expect out of Trump.
He tends to fight for himself, not for the American people. And I think that's going to come out during the course of the debate. But I expect that he's going to, I think he's going to lie. And, he has a playbook that he has used in the past, be it, his attacks on President Obama or Hillary Clinton. So we should expect that some of that might come out.
Yeah, to the extent that she tries to get him on the defensive, or that the moderators do with questions about name calling or this or that, I think he just needs to spin out of that stuff. It's easy to do. Look, names are called back and forth in politics. I don't have time for the silliness. I'm not going to address the silliness. These are ridiculous questions. Yeah, people call me names. I call other people names. Big freaking whoop. Now, let's talk about something important, like what I'm going to use my time to discuss: border security, the real purchasing power and real wage growth, or lack thereof, for American families over the last 3.5 years. And then go on that riff. And then, as I said, put a question to Kamala about some aspect of flip-flopping on the issue he's discussing to get her Kamala-splaining. It's just not. I mean, I think that this is fairly straightforward in what he needs to do and what he should expect, but maybe I'm missing something. Salena Zito is national political reporter. She's the author of The Great Revolt: Inside the Populist Coalition Reshaping American Politics. And you can get her reporting and latest musings at SalenaZito.com, SalenaZito.com. Salena, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
What's your handicapping of tonight's contest?
Well, I think the biggest thing that Donald Trump should do is talk about where he will take the American public when he talks about, when he is asked about what are your plans, right? You always want to project to the voters, to the audience, an aspirational thing, right? Like, I'm going to do this with the country, and I'm going to take the country to this better place. What he should not do are two things. He should not talk about the past in terms of 2020 and his thoughts about whether he won it or not, no matter how many times he is goaded into that. And he should not use words like comrade when it comes to Harris, which he often does in his speeches at rallies. That works at a rally. That doesn't work in a debate setting. What Harris should try to do is explain what she stands for. More importantly, she needs to explain how she got to this dramatic change in positions. And I think what she should not do is try to avoid talking about her positions. She has to be clear and concise. There's a large swath of voters who are very uncertain about her, and that has a lot to do with how much she has changed her position.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, this was, I thought, an interesting moment for Trump. He sometimes sort of stumbles into these insights that he should develop further. And this was during the town hall he had on Fox News in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania last week, where he was riffing on Kamala's flip-flopping on fracking. Take a listen.
If she won, you're not going to have any fracking in Pennsylvania. You have 500,000 jobs. Think of that. It's your biggest business. And you get a big majority of your income from fracking. And you have somebody that's not going to allow fracking. She's not going to allow it. You can't take the chance. You have no choice. You've got to vote for me. You've got to vote for me. You've got to. Even if you don't like me, you know?
Yeah.
It's no, but even if you don't like me, you can sit there and say, I can't stand that guy, but there's no way I'm going to vote for her.
That last part. I can't stand that guy, but there's no way I can vote for her. What do you think, Salena?
Well, that's a really common sentiment.
Yeah, I know.
Like he really picked up on what I hear from a lot of voters in that, like, oh, I like his policies, but I can't, his comportment is over the line for me. However, I cannot vote for her. So that is there's a deep pool of people that feel that way. So that's why I said what he needs to do tonight is tell voters of how he and his policies would take the country to a better place.
Well, right, but
That's
I think yeah, and I think that line sort of speaks to, like I get it, I'm grading, but I mean, you've I don't need to sell you past the close on the policies. And what I'm saying by being self-effacing is it's going to be about the policies.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, and conveying that is important. But and that's a line he should use. But he also needs to get a little substance with that as well. These are the policies that are going to make things better.
Right. And then,
right.
And then I think that if she brings up, I want to help out with inflation, she's the incumbent. I mean, why not start now? I mean, why wait until you possibly get elected? And that's what he needs to hit her on as well.
Oh, I think that he will say that every time. I think that that's the line you use every time. Okay, Madam Vice President, you're the Vice President. Why aren't we doing that now?
Yeah. And what about so you're there in Pennsylvania. Early voting starts September 16th. I mean, that's, soon, just a few days away. What was this rough up about this spice store that Kamala Harris went to visit?
So, if you just Google Penzies, just rudimentary Google Penzies, the thing that comes up all the time are his statements, very racist, very partisan, very divisive. He has lost customers and begged them to come back, yet still because of the things that he has said about Republicans. I mean, he celebrates Martin Luther King Day by calling it Republicans are Fascist Day, and Republicans are Racist Day. And so she's in Pittsburgh. She's in Pittsburgh for 5 days. She goes to a legendary neighborhood. If anybody's been to Pittsburgh, the Strip District is where everybody goes. It's very old world, and almost every business on the Strip is independently family owned. They pick the one place that isn't Penzies. They pick the one place that is divisive, and she goes in there and says, "We're not going to be divisive anymore."
Right.
It was the irony was just made my brain explode when you could go right across the street to Pennsylvania macaroni, or as they call it in Pittsburgh, Penn Mac, and they have more spices than Penzies has been in business since 1901, is in its sixth generation of families running it, and instead you go across the street to Penzies that is known for divisiveness. That this was not an accidental choice. This was a purposeful choice, and it sent a message. It sent a message, a clear and concise message, that we don't want you, meaning Republican and independent voters who are not Democrats.
Well, remember, Salena, Kamala Harris's values didn't change.
Oh, that's right.
Exactly.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
That just underlines it.
You wrote the book, The Great Revolt Inside the Populist Coalition, Reshaping American Politics. And we were just discussing before you joined us that I think that needs to be part of what Trump says, too. a reminder about what the last 10 years has been about. The last 3 elections have been about. And it's this, to your point, this great revolt against a feudal class in D.C. And this is the defining or the decisive battle, because this is, my last time as the general leading this revolt. I think framing that too in terms of a big picture, what has this all been about? This chaos on both sides. That's for the layman, that's how I think a lot of people view it. Bring it all together for us. What really is fundamental here? What's fundamentally going on? What 24 is about, which is more than 24.
So this coalition, this conservative populist coalition, if you put the people that are in it shoulder to shoulder, it doesn't look. You would never think that they would share the same ideals and the same values. However, it's important to note that Trump didn't cause this coalition. He is the result of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to have action because of the forming of this coalition. It is very much about a pushback against our cultural curators, meaning institutions, academia, corporations, government, all of them which live in the super zip codes of wealth and power in this country and operate out of those super zip codes and have nothing in common with the people who they serve, who sit in their seats, who buy their products. It is a pushback against that. It was formed because of how they've been treated by these cultural curators, and Trump's sort of the result of that, and he has intuitively understood it, and that is why it is so potent and powerful.
And the appeal tonight to this revolt. I mean, I sort of use people who play by the rules, sort of the people who play by the rules, middle America families that have stuck with Trump, that have he's refused to leave the scene, but they've also sort of refused to let him leave the scene. And this is I mean, November 5th is their moment. This is it.
Yeah, and I think his role in this movement is to be the guy who's standing between them, meaning the voters, this coalition, and the cultural curators, and the only one willing to take them on. He may do it sort of like a bull in a china shop, but literally they wanted a bull in the china shop. They want to break the china because the china has never been anything that they could achieve anyway.
Salena Zito, national political reporter, author of The Great Revolt Inside the Populist Coalition, Reshaping American Politics. And again, you check out her reportings and writings at salenazito.com, salenazito.com. Salena, thank you as always.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome to Face the Music, sponsored by Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, a weekly 60-second deep dive into current events.